Thank you so much for joining us, Vipul. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Maushmi. How are you?
I'm good. Sustainability is becoming increasingly important in today's world, and HCLTech is known for its commitment to this cause. Tell us, how has HCLTech integrated sustainability into the overall DNA of employee experience?
So, sustainability has turned out to be an esoteric term, but actually it's very simple. It's about doing things that are right for us, and all the stakeholders, and that can last over a long period of time, without doing any harm and perhaps ideally doing good.
Right.
So I think for our entire, if you look at employees, they're a very important stakeholder to the business. 220,000 plus employees we have, and it's important that we make it work for them. They should enjoy their entire life cycle journey in HCLTech, from the moment of pre-joining, joining, and their entire journey. They need to be supported. So I think HCLTech, what I see from my experience, I've just joined recently, and what I see from experience, has done an amazing set of things which are industry first. For example, sustainability is also long term.
Yeah.
It's like decisions you take today, but that last the long period of time, and then you can see the benefits and reap the rewards. I think another thing that we have done is building new vistas in tier 2, tier 3 towns, going into cities like Lucknow, Nagpur, etc. Many of these locations to set up an office there and to set up a large campus. In fact, that shows a very serious long-term commitment.
Yeah.
And what it does is that it stops the rural-urban migration in India, which is a big thing. Otherwise, people have to end up coming to big cities, which we know are very crowded. We have, despite all the work the government is doing, we have still infrastructure challenges. We have traffic and other things and so on. Cost of living is very high.
Yeah.
So they don't need to move. They can continue to enjoy a very good quality of life living in these towns and have great facilities there. The campuses are done. It's not like we have tried to cut corners in any way, right? The campuses are world-class campuses with amazing facilities. So therefore, I think we're going out of our way. We are thinking long-term, which I think is a hallmark of sustainability.
Vipul, tell us about this one initiative you are really excited about.
So, healthcare. At HCL, imagine, we are 220,000 people, and in India about 180,000 people. That's the number one, stakeholder that we have. It's the biggest asset. And all these, people that we have, sometimes there can be unpredictable events that can happen to us, health-related, right? And in India, with the doctor-to-patient ratio that we have, which is very, skewed, it sometimes becomes a challenge to go to a doctor. Then if you have to navigate traffic, and even if you end up to a hospital or a doctor, there are trust issues, right? We don't know if the diagnosis is correct. Now, to solve all these problems, it took a lot of foresight and vision from our leadership that 11 years ago in 2014, we created the HCL Healthcare, which was the first initiative in the industry anywhere, not just in India. So I think that's a very progressive, step that we have taken at HCLTech. So COVID just highlighted for us, how important this is a risk to manage. And once you have a crisis, there is very little you can do, right, other than firefighting, which we did also. But imagine the foresight of our leadership that having done this, conceived this and launched this 6 years ahead of COVID, in 2014. That was a very significant move. So now we have, 51 locations of HCLTech where we have clinics. Not only there is primary care available, if you have a situation during office hours, people are working. There are ambulances, available on standby. If something is very serious, then we need to be taken to a hospital. But there's primary care available. There is preventive health checkups. There are annual health checkups. There are doctor consultations, including physiotherapy and so on. And not just for the employees, but also, the immediate family.
Yeah.
So this is a very significant initiative. I'm extremely proud of this, of having done this, of having visualized. So this is true sustainability in action. This is not just the talk of sustainability. It's actually real sustainability in action. Having visualized that, we have all these employees, and what can go wrong with employee? There can be a health crisis, a health problem, or even a preventive health checkup would be essential to stay healthy, right? So I think having visualized this and created a system in the campus itself, carve out. It's prime real estate, right? It's very expensive commercial real estate. To carve out a space from that and then to hire a team of experts, expert doctors and technicians and consultants, and to run it in a very professional way, where we have 80% customer satisfaction feedback. To run it in a highly professional way, right? And have trustworthy advice and input and support when you need it. So I think this is one of the initiatives at HCLTech I'm extremely proud of.
Tell us about the challenges one face when embedding sustainability into the employee life cycle.
So challenges, I think being a large organization, the first big challenge would, always comes to in terms of complexity that is enforced on any program or a policy because of the scale and geographical dispersion, So create a policy, we have to make sure it's relevant to different stages of people's life cycle, right? Age groups, gender, other requirements and so on. So I think there is so that puts a lot of demands on structuring a program, and then logistically the practical side of getting it implemented, and there are teething problems. So every time you do something which is first, you don't have a reference or a benchmark to look at. There are no case studies, there is no examples. You're doing it for the first time. So there are bound to be mistakes. There are bound to be, it's an experimentative approach, right? But that's what a leader has to face, and that's the responsibility of being a leader. So I think HCLTech as a leader, I think has been bold enough to do these things, and we have lessons to learn along the way, which I think we should take it in that spirit and continue. We need support from stakeholders, get feedback more and more, which is also there in the system, right? We have forums to talk about in a formal and informal way. We have employee surveys, that happen periodically. So there's a lot of, mechanism in place as an institution to support those things.
Right. We mentioned about the stakeholders here. Tell us, how does sustainable employee experience translates into business objectives?
So we are a people business, and yes, technology has to come in and amplify our work, and AI will come in and and do what it has to do. But I think eventually even AI has to be guided by people intelligence, right? We define what problem AI is solving. We define we write the code for what technology will solve. That's what we do as a business. So I think people intelligence is the driver here, and to have people at the highest level of their intelligence operating at the highest level of productivity is paramount for us as a business. So how can we make the entire employee experience world class? How can we make sure employees are comfortable, they're at the highest level of their productivity, solving problems that cannot be solved in a traditional legacy framework. So building new frameworks, building new products, new solutions, new technologies. Can we do it better than what has been done before, for the client? And I think there is proof in this that it's happening. We have the value portal, thousands of ideas that have been posted there. We filed some close to 100 patents coming from there. So I think that creating IP, creating knowledge, operating at the highest level of our intelligence and productivity, I think is important for a people organization. So I think all this adds up, and that's what shows. Productivity cannot be monitored just in terms of hours we spend. It's also in terms of, sometimes you can solve in 1 hour a problem that is super complex, can be solved in 1 hour, which could take hundreds of hours and may not be solved before. So it's a creative process. It's a process using imagination, So I think the environment is there. The space has been created. The right conditions have been created. Obviously, being a large organization, we have, we continue to have challenges, but I think that's part of the game.
I would love to know your thoughts on the global sustainability trends. We have emerging technologies now, AI, agentic AI. What are your views on sustainability trends currently?
So I think coming back to the earlier point about sustainability has become too esoteric. Unfortunately, there's a lot of talk about sustainability, but I think it does a disservice to the discipline. Sustainability was also like a science and an art. So it's not just something esoteric, abstract. You do it as a charity, or and we have a strong foundation doing a lot of good work.
Exactly.
But I think as a business, so there is world sustainability, then there is corporate sustainability, there is individual sustainability, there is country sustainability. I think for the world to be sustainable, which simply means can it last long term for a long period of time without any surprises or risks, So if you just focus on that definition of sustainability, for the world to be sustainable, corporates need to be sustainable. It's a business imperative. There are some 88,000, 90,000 big MNCs around the world.
Yeah.
They comprise 1/3 of global economic activity. There are companies that are larger than countries now. If you look at the top 200, just by revenue, so GDP of a country is not same as revenue of a country, of a company, sorry. But if you do try to make that kind of, hush comparison, you will still see that out of 200 biggest revenue earners, if GDPs were the same as revenue, then 150 out of top 200 list are actually companies and not countries. So companies have become massive. So they have a massive role to play because they deal with large amount of resources, whether it is natural resources, we use land, we use electricity, we use water, we use paper, we use food and so many other resources, right? Building materials and so on.
Yeah.
So companies have a very powerful influence on how resources are used. So for the world to be sustainable, companies need to be sustainable, right?
Absolutely.
Now, if companies have to be sustainable, but then one may ask, company's job is to offer a product or a service, right? Solve a business problem. We are not there to do charity.
Yeah.
But charity part aside, businesses still need to be sustainable, because if they don't use resources responsibly, we're going to cause a massive imbalance, right? If you look at the last 300, 400 years of industrial growth that has happened, we have our impact on resources has been massive. We have created this problem of climate change purely because of very heavy reliance on fossil fuels.
Right.
A few million years ago, there were 6 trillion trees in the world globally. Now we have, in the last 300 years, 400 years, we have cut them down to 3 trillion. We've destroyed half the amount of trees. So one side, we are emitting so much pollution, so much carbon dioxide and other gases, which we breathe, by the way. We live in that environment, right? We're not going away anywhere. And these gases are not going away anywhere, right? They're in the atmosphere. And on the other side, nature had a capacity to balance them, right? And we have destroyed that capacity of nature.
Yeah.
How? Because of multiple, human and industrial activity.
Right.
So businesses, if they continue to run on the trajectory in which they are running, we will not have a world to live in 20, 30, 40 years, right? Or even, maybe earlier. So there is an imperative, right? It's not just a good to do thing. It is critical. If you will not have a business, you will not have a society after a few years, right? So therefore, business sustainability is urgent now, is imperative. All businesses need to be, it's part of being responsible, right? If we use resources, we need to use them responsibly, only use what we need. So sustainability, therefore, is fundamental, is critical now. It is becoming more and more important. It is, in fact, if we don't pay attention, it is going to become a crisis requirement, just like COVID threw open many things. So business sustainability will eventually become a crisis moment, but then it will be too late. Anything we do will not be able to help us. So therefore, again, people and institutions and companies that are forward-looking need to take this into account right away, right? Not wait for a crisis to develop to solve it. We won't be able to solve it. So therefore, so companies need to be sustainable, they need to be more responsible with resources, and also how we work in the society, have more harmonious relationships with employees, stakeholders, suppliers. This, I think, is the entire ESG construct. We run clean, ethical businesses that create trust, from the society and the institutions and regulators, have strong relationships with employees, clients, suppliers, and be very efficient on environmental resources and inputs, without which we cannot work, right? Even though right now they look free. So air looks free to us, but it's not free, because if you keep polluting, right, then we have to start putting in air purifiers, and even the air purifiers cannot purify beyond a certain point, right? So resources are never free. There is always a cost. Unfortunately, the industrial revolution grew on the base that the cost was free. It was externalized, right? There was externalities. So I'm very proud and very happy to know that HCLTech has been already doing all this. We have keep ramping up our engagement with sustainability more as we go forward. We are creating new initiatives.
Right.
For example, we have a responsible AI initiative already going.
Yes.
And there, already it is building on these principles that is aligned to sustainability. How can it be more sustainable? I think there is more work to be done there, and our leadership has the foresight and the vision to take it in that direction, which is very promising.
That's really interesting. Tell us what AI's impact will be on sustainability in the coming years.
So, any technology that comes in for the first time, technology is a force that can be used for good or for bad. And any technology, when it comes for the first time, is extremely powerful. It is potent with a lot of potential. I think all technologies have gone through that, life cycle. AI is not different from that. Obviously, it has a massive potential. It has much bigger potential than many of the things we have seen till now. But it is still at the early stage, right? So right now, when a technology is at the early stage, the first thing everybody does is throw as many resources as possible to the technology to kind of see how we can scale it up, grow faster. That's why billions of dollars are being committed. You're getting headlines. Everybody is saying we want to commit so many billions to have more GPUs, have more compute power, and so on. But at that stage, the early life cycle of any technology, people don't pay attention to the resource intensity of that technology, right? When the internal combustion engine was conceived 100 years ago, it was like, how can we get more horsepower? That was the focus, right?
Yeah.
Nobody paid attention to the fuel efficiency of a car or an engine. It has come recently, right? So, but I think we need to cut down that life cycle for AI to be responsible, for which we have an initiative in HCLTech also called Responsible AI Initiative. So there, I think we have an entire practice that is there. So I think the resource efficiency is a very important thing. The earlier we start to pay attention to it, the better it is, which means putting sustainability at the design stage itself. How can we make LLMs that are, where we monitor the energy cost of the compute? Per compute, what is the energy we are consuming? How much time we are consuming? That is the direct impact on the cost of the compute.
Right.
What resources are we using? What processing power? Do we have to have expensive GPUs, or can we have low cost regular CPUs can be used,
Right.
etc. How much heat with those data centers that are running those massive LLMs? They consume a lot of heat. They have to be cooled down. That has an impact on the water we are consuming. And there could be other technologies that are being developed. There are a lot of experiments happening now, to see how we can run this in a more efficient way. So AI has a very powerful, opportunity. If we can embed sustainability at the design stage itself of all the hardware, infrastructure, software, and the solutions that we are creating using AI, I think AI can do 10 times more work as it is expected to do, but at maybe a fraction of the cost, 1/10, 1/20, or 1/30 of the cost. And there have been some experiments, some developments recently that are demonstrating that it's possible. So I think that is the opportunity of marrying sustainability with AI to make it truly responsible AI.
That was really interesting. Loved all the examples that you mentioned, the mapping the journey. That was such a lovely conversation, Vipul. We look forward to seeing all the new initiatives and how they make a positive impact on HCLTech and the society at large. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Maushmi.